Hi,
Hi,
Rebecca.
Rebecca with the Nocturnal. How are you?
Good, good, good.
So, the film didn't shy away from conversations surrounding politics, race, colorism, addiction, and love. So, how did you come up with the concept for the film, and what message are you hoping to get across to viewers?
When I wrote this in 1995, I was just telling the story, and I wasn't trying to be socially conscious. I didn't know it would be as prevalent today as it was then at that time. I was just trying to tell a story. But my hope is that in this world where the history of Black people in America is being reimagined and books are being banned and our tragedies and pains are being watered down as to nothing, I wanted this movie to speak to people and just make them curious to go and find out the truth of what really happened.
And as you mentioned, I feel like we're living during a time where people are more socially aware and are speaking up against injustices. So, although this film is depicting a time in history, do you believe there are some similarities to how we're living today?
100%, yeah. If they were emailed, they would have been paper airplanes, back in the day. But yes, there are a lot of similarities and a lot of things we're dealing with colorism. With it's sad to say that all these years we're still dealing with a lot of the discriminations and the pains that Bayou, Leanne, and this entire family dealt with.
And as I mentioned, the film represents a time in history. So, during the creation process, what were some of the steps that you took to maintain the authenticity?
First of all, I wanted to be sure that everything was authentic to the period. Everybody I hired, I wanted them to be an expert in understanding what that meant, from Debbie Allen to Terrence Blanchard to the set design to everyone who was involved. I wanted them to have their hands in knowing that from the stamp that's on the letter to the reflection in the mirror to the kind of glass we use in the cars was all authentic.
And you wrote, produced, and directed a Jazzman's Blues, as well as other well known films and shows that are staples and consistently discussed when talking about Black entertainment. So, how do you feel knowing the projects you've created are talked about in such a way?
It, it, I haven't thought about it in that sense much because what I thought about it, everything that I've done specifically for my audience was just that. And once I've done it, it was released. It is what it is. Jazzman being a little different and being introduced to a different audience now, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens because I know my audience is going to love it. Let's see what the rest of the world thinks.
Definitely, definitely. As someone who watched it, I definitely enjoyed every moment for the whole 2 hours.
Oh,
I
thank you
was
very much.
stuck.
Thank you. Thank you. I love that. Thank you. Thank you.
Of course. And you mentioned you wrote the project in 19.
95, yeah.
Right. So what took so long for the project to develop?
I have my white counterparts in LA who I would watch them do a movie, it would flop, they'd get another chance, it would flop, another chance, it would flop and flop, and soon they'd have a hit. Well, Black people didn't have that kind of luxury, so I had to focus on what I knew would work. I was building a business, building a studio, building a brand, so I knew Medea would work. I knew Why Did I Get Married would work. I knew those kind of movies would work specifically, which would allow me to sure my footing so that I could tell stories like Jazzman and other stories that I want to tell as well. But I'll never abandon the type of stories that brought me here or my audience. So I was very specific in my intention to get here.
Right, right. So what was something that you told yourself during that process? Like, starting a project, waiting, and then, starting other projects. What was something that you kept telling yourself so to keep yourself going with those projects?
I just understood, like, if someone would say, oh, Medea is bad or this is bad or that's bad, my whole thought would be, yes, but I know something that you don't. I have something that I wrote before all of this stuff that I've been holding on to. So I know something you don't. You don't fully know who I am. You're judging it by one thing that you're seeing, but in time, I'll be able to show you Jazzman, and I have to have the right partner, which was Netflix, and the right time, and everything lined up.
Definitely, definitely. Thank you so much for speaking with me today. It was a pleasure.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very much.
All
All right, take care.
right, bye.
Talk to you a bit.
Hi, Rebecca with the Nocturnal. How are you?
Doing
So
good.
good.
How
How are
you doing?
you?
I'm breathing. I'm living,
Okay.
and I'm talking to y'all.
I feel you. Likewise.
Absolutely.
So, can you both tell me a little bit about both of your characters? Solea, starting with you.
Yeah, Leanne, we see Leanne go from a girl to a woman, and Leanne is a survivor and a lover and someone who believes in hope despite all the odds being against her. And she is a mixed race woman living in the Deep South and dealing with the nuances of what it means to pass, what it means to leave everything behind, what it means to start life over. And so she's a complicated woman, and a woman who I love and carry with me into my life every day.
Yeah, and Bayou is a soft-spoken individual from a family of musicians, you know, who gives love and wants love in return, who then grows to be an actualized musician, a successful musician, who still gives love and wants it in return, you know, and his steps become stronger, but the love stays soft, you know, and,
Yeah.
and I think it's very interesting to see that journey.
Speaking of love, personally, I'm a hopeless romantic.
Yeah.
So whenever I see relationships and love on screen, my attention's automatically grabbed. So how are you guys both able to maintain that on-screen chemistry?
I mean, when you're lucky to work with someone who wait, okay. I've been fine. I won't say anything nice about Josh.
go ahead,
I didn't have a good time at
bad.
all. No. But Josh is just an exceptional actor and a very supportive friend and peer. So it like, you know, this being my first experience, I could find a lot of comfort in knowing someone who could be like, hey, it's okay. This is how this, you know, Josh had a lot of great advice. And, you know, we spent time together before the movie started shooting, and right off the bat, it was pretty clear that we intended to tell this story the same way, and that we were on the same page.
Yeah.
And that was a good feeling, and it all kind of sprung from that.
Yeah, I say it starts on the page, and then when you care about what's on the page and you work with somebody who really cares also, that then is the seed towards trust. And I think it's the trust that allows us to be as free and, you know, and to just lean in, you know, and to know that we had each other's back, you know, and go as far as the story required, you know.
Yeah.
Right. And Tyler wrote, produced, and directed the film. So was he able to add or, you know, any additional insight into your character or particular scenes? And what was it like working with him overall?
I mean, it's wild. I mean, I think when you know that something is so precious to somebody and so deeply personal, it's a really beautiful thing to be trusted with that. And that's kind of the word that I keep coming to, in that there was, at first, I felt so nervous about doing it right for him. And then I realized that in being cast in this, there's something innately about us that fits these characters, and that our instincts must be correct. And so Tyler really trusted us, and we always knew that if we weren't getting feedback, that's because we were doing it right.
Yeah.
And if he was like, I want the scene to go this way, think about this a little bit more, he would give us tidbits and guide us in the direction that he wanted. But when the script is that clear and the script is that wonderful, and you're working with people who also understand, like it happens.
I think what's kind of jarring to me is that there are a couple scenes in the movie that weren't on the page. It was something that he was just like, I see something, or, you know, I want this, and he went and got it. And what those scenes speak to, like, it's so moving to me, you know, and to be a witness to that experience, you know, of seeing what was on the page, and to be a witness to what the energy and you know, the magic of those moments are, like, it's pretty crazy, you know, and I'm very inspired by it.
And Joshua, you mentioned when you see what's on the words that are on the screen, like in the script, you know, you instantly start caring about it. So what was your reaction, both of you, when you both read the script for the first time?
I just thought, I was like, this is a story where every single character affects every single character. Every choice that each character makes, you know, contributes to the final moment in one way or another. And I think that's just amazing storytelling at its core. Every single character is connected, and you care about what happens to everybody from the start to the finish. And I was gripped. Like, I couldn't put it down. I sat down, I read it in one sitting, and it was this opportunity to, like, exist as myself within a story. And I was like, I've got to give my all to this audition, because this has got to be mine. Yeah.
It's the type of opportunity you want as an artist. You know, it's what I've been wanting for a very long time as a black man in this industry. You know, of course, it came from a black man who wrote, direct, produce, you know, but to read what was on that page, I was like, you know, who would not want this, you know, and for him to trust us to bring that vision to light, you know, and to life. I'm humbled, you know, and I feel honored in that sense. I'm just grateful.
And thank you so much for speaking with me today, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate the time.
Have a great rest of your day.
Yeah.
You too. Bye.